Today we've got your full in-depth comparison between these two awesome lenses from Tamron. They are the 70-180 F2.8 and the 70-300 F4.5-6.3. They are great budget options for you, and they are part of Tamron's awesome line for Sony E-mount cameras. Here's some specs to get you going on these two lenses. We're gonna figure out today which one's gonna be better for you based on your needs. And guys, if you haven't seen one of my videos, my name's Stefan Malloch, and if you like this video and it helps you out, consider hitting that like and subscribe button and join the community. By the end of this video, you should have everything that you need to know between these two lenses to be able to make a choice. That's my goal anyways, but let's dive in and have a look at our first category, which happens to be the size.
Now both of these lenses are a great size and weight for what they are. The 70-180 is actually a little bit thicker in diameter, but the overall length of these two lenses unzoomed without the lens hoods is pretty much the exact same. The 70-300 does have a little bit longer of a lens hood and does extend a bit more as it zooms. They both have convenient 67mm filter threads, and as far as weight is concerned, the 70-180 does have a little bit more heftiness, coming in at 810 grams, or just about half a pound more than the 70-300. This is mainly because of its fast f2.8 aperture. Like I said, both a great size and weight for what they are, so they both win in this category. Next up, let's compare the build of these two lenses. And like most of the lenses in this Tamron line, they are very comparable. They have the same look and feel for the most part. They have the same great oversized grippy zoom ring at the very front, and a smaller, less than impressive electronically coupled focus ring towards the back of the lens. As you saw, they both extend as they zoom, neither have any buttons or switches, and they both lack image stabilization. On the front of both lens elements, you will find Tamron's patented coatings that help with ghosting and flare, and on the back you'll find that they both share a metal mount as well as little rubber gaskets for weather sealing. Now, as you'll see coming up, these lenses do differ greatly in price and in terms of what's inside. The overall internal quality is quite a bit different, and of course there's the constant aperture difference. But in terms of the overall exterior build and features, they're very comparable, and I can't give the edge to either or. So next up, we're diving right into performance. We're going to check out the 70-180 first in terms of autofocus and how the lack of image stabilization affects its performance. Utilizing Tamron's new linear focus motors, the autofocus speed of this lens is incredible. It's lightning fast and does prioritize speed over accuracy, I find. In good light, you're not going to have a problem, but in backlit situations or less than perfect conditions, you might find it struggling and hunting just a bit. In decent light, where you're probably going to be shooting most of the time, you're not going to have any issues. The optics of this lens and the focusing capabilities are a little bit different than your typical lens. Using your autofocus, your minimum focus distance is 33.5 inches throughout the entire focal range. Switch to manual, however, to get down to 10.6 inches on the wide end with 1:2 magnification ratio capabilities to get macro-like shots. But do note that it only works on the wide end. Zooming in will bring your minimum focus distance back out to 33.5 inches. I'm really liking the near macro capabilities that Tamron's giving us with a lot of their lenses lately. Here's an example of what you can expect in terms of stability. 180mm isn't crazy, but it's still far enough out there where you're going to have some trouble hand holding. In this case, I'm using my in-body image stabilization with my A7 III, but if you don't have it, this is what you can expect. For me, this is one of the biggest downsides of this lens, and I think it's expected at this price range and definitely at this focal range. Having IBIS is definitely going to help your experience, but overall, having IBIS as well as built-in image stabilization in your lens does make quite a big difference. So now let's have a look at the much cheaper 70-300. But what about the autofocus speed and reliability? Well, it's actually a lot better than I thought it was going to be. Here's my dog running pretty quickly, and it keeps up pretty darn well. But we all know the ultimate test is birds in flight, and here's an example of that. It's important to keep your expectations in line, and the overall keepers were about 60 to 80% of all the pictures that I shot, which is pretty darn good. For a beginner or intermediate photographer, these are fantastic results. Now obviously this isn't a lens made for video specifically, but it actually does pretty good in that case. With its versatile focal range, you can get out there a little bit and get some interesting footage, especially with wildlife and whatnot. And like most of Tamron's lenses these days, its quick autofocus and algorithms means that it's reliable and you're going to get the shot when you need it. Here's an example of some real-time focusing shot on my A7 III, and it's worth noting that it will vary depending on the camera that you have, of course, because your lens and your camera are working together. Now, I was really surprised by the lack of hunting with this lens, even from its minimum focus distance all the way out to infinity. Quite impressive. So here's a few of my favorite shots with this lens so far, and I have to say that I'm very impressed with the performance of this thing across the board, especially given its price. But as you can see, it's very versatile. It's not just a wildlife lens, this is really a jack of all trades lens. It's got some reach, and I found myself getting some really interesting landscape shots, but you can also get some family and even portrait shots with it as well. So in terms of autofocus reliability and overall performance, yeah, the 70-180 is definitely going to be the clear winner here. Keep in mind it also has that fast f2.8 constant aperture throughout the entire range compared to the much slower f4.5-6.3 of the 70-300, but you are getting that extra reach. There's give and take with both lenses, and like you'll see in a second, one is a lot more expensive. Make sure you check out my full in-depth review on each for a much more detailed look at how these lenses perform. But overall, the edge definitely goes to the more expensive 70-180. Finally, when it comes to value, I'm happy to tell you that both of these lenses are absolutely off the chart in terms of value. Now, the 70-180 is an incredible budget lens, with its comparables being double if not more, and it's honestly going to do most of the job that you're looking for. It's really the utmost professionals that are going to need more out of what this lens can give you. The 70-300, however, is not a professional lens, but it's going to produce incredible results for the price. I would go as far as to say that the Tamron 70-300 is the best budget telephoto that you can currently buy for Sony E-mount cameras. It offers so much for really so little. And just like the 70-180, the 70-300's comparables are a heck of a lot more expensive. So whether you're looking for your first telephoto or you're sure that you need that fast f2.8, either way, you can't go wrong, and both of these lenses have incredible value. So wrapping it all up, which lens is better for you in the end? Do you need a fast constant f2.8? Well, that's an easy one then. Are you on an extreme budget? Well, you know which one's cheaper now. Both lenses are going to perform well, but one's just in a completely different class. If you are just starting out and you're looking for a perfect first telephoto lens, I think the 70-300 is a no-brainer, and I'd totally recommend it. If budget's not an issue and you're looking to take your stuff to the next level, maybe check out the 70-180, which is going to be an incredible lens for a ton of purposes, including portrait work. Of course, these lenses aren't really fair to compare, but if you are just getting started looking at these two, hopefully this gives you a bit more of an idea about what they're all about. Again, if you want more details, check out my full in-depth review on each of these lenses. And if you did enjoy this video and it helped you out, consider hitting that like and subscribe button. Anyways, that's it for this one. Like always, make mistakes, be yourself, and get out there and take some more pictures. See you in the next one.